Hello everyone, I'm Jim Fitzpatrick. On this edition of the Executive Profile, I sat down with one of the automotive industry's most respected dealer leaders, Ryan LaFontaine, CEO of LaFontaine Automotive Group in Michigan. The LaFontaine name has become synonymous with growth, innovation, and a commitment to people, both customers and employees. But behind the success of one of the nation's most recognized dealership groups is a story that begins long before the boardroom. It's a story rooted in family, hard work, values, and lessons passed down from generation to generation. In this conversation, we're going beyond the business headlines and dealership acquisitions to learn more about the person behind the title. We'll explore Ryan's upbringing, his earliest experiences in the automotive business, and the profound influence both his father, Mike LaFontaine, and his mother, Maureen, had on shaping his leadership philosophy, work ethic, and vision for the future. Ryan's journey offers valuable insights not only for automotive professionals, but for anyone interested in leadership, family business, and building a legacy that lasts. Here now is Ryan LaFontaine on the Executive Profile, exclusively on CBT News. The Executive Profile is sponsored by the Dave Canton Group. Ryan, thank you so much for allowing us to come into your dealership here and spend some time with you.
My pleasure. I appreciate it very much.
So let's go back in the beginning here. I mean, you've got a very automotive family. Where were you brought up? You were brought up right here in where we are right now in Highland?
Very much so. I lived in Highland all my life since I was 6 months old. We moved from Farmington here from that perspective. This store wasn't where it was back then, right? From all perspectives, in 1984, we bought a Pontiac Cadillac GMC store in downtown Milford, which is about 15 minutes from here, right? On a side street. And this store back then sold 25 cars a year.
25 cars a year?
Let alone what it's doing now. So
yeah.
It's grown just a little bit.
Yeah, just about.
My backyard.
That's fantastic. Wow. And your dad was the dealer, right? And your mom joined him shortly after they opened.
Yeah, yes and no. So my dad started with a Toyota store in 1980. So he started selling cars in 1966 at a Volkswagen, Peugeot, Mazda store. Became part owner in that store. And then broke off in 1980 and bought his own store in Dearborn, Michigan, a Toyota store, which those that know Dearborn, that's Ford headquarters. That's domestic headquarters, at least back then.
Of course.
Right? So start off in a Toyota store, right, in Dearborn, right, was definitely unique in the business. And then my mom went from being a stay-at-home mom to selling at that store. And then we had the opportunity in 1984 to buy the Pontiac Cadillac GMC store, and she became the dealer principal of that store. So she ran that store, my dad ran the import stores, and we kind of grew it from there.
Yeah. As I mentioned before we got recording, my wife and I had the pleasure of meeting your parents on a trip to Cuba a few years back, and we were just amazed with your mom's knowledge of the overall industry. She was a legend in the industry, wasn't she?
Oh, by far.
Yeah.
She was 4'11", but by far she was a giant, right?
She was.
My mom, everyone called her Madre inside the company. It's because I called her Madre, right? She taught us a family deal, right? Even back then, she didn't realize her actions. She was defining who we are as a company, our culture. Right, the family side of it really comes by that, because everyone said, I remember when I started my career, right, selling cars at 15, I remember one summer asked her, hey Ma, how do I never lose my way? She said, it's simple, treat your employees like family, treat your customers like family. So really the family philosophy, right, my mom would come in 4'11", but give you a big giant bear hug. Everyone just felt like she was family, like, and she just treated you that way. So it really kind of exuded to what we are today from all philosophies, but her presence, her passion, her energy, right, it's still alive today. We reference her in our spirit award, right, in everything that we do, from all those aspects, because most people don't know, I learned my career or understudied under her majority of the time.
That's
right,
great.
so I spent most of my time at the Highland store.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. And a big part of your dad and your mom's success, right? The fact that you really do run this like a family. I mean, you've got so many associates that have been with you a long period of time, which is tough in the industry.
It is, but by far, I don't look at them as employees. As if you go around the entire company, we have 3,100 family members.
Wow.
Right, and we really know them. So everyone runs their operation differently. I've only been in one company all my life, right? And I poured into it. Back then when I got out of college, we had the 2 stores, right, to where we're at today. But that same philosophy, you go store by store. We're not a corporation. I hate corporations, no disrespect, but we're a family-run business. We just have a lot of them. So when you go in the store, you'll be shocked how many of the people, whether it be technicians, porters, office, parts, that know us, right? That I know personally. I know their kids. I know all about them, right? Because we're traveling store to store, right? I don't know how to be an absentee owner. I know how to be in the thick of things, really just side by side, right? With all of our family members, pouring into each other. Iron sharpens iron. They make me better, and I pray that I make them better along this journey as well.
That's great. Well, I have a tendency to believe that you do make them better. But so let's talk about the company today. How many locations, how many franchises?
So we're up to 45 dealerships.
Wow.
When you look at franchises, some are duplicated. We'd probably be in the 60s or 70 because we have duplication of the brands, right? Depending how you define them with Chrysler, Stellantis, and all the different brands and subsets. But we're all the way through Michigan. Everything's in Michigan. So when you look at it, we're from Grand Rapids, Kalamazoo, all the way to obviously St. Clair and everywhere in between. We've really been trying to be disciplined about growth in Michigan, our backyard, right? Because I'm, again, not an absentee. I go to all the stores. We travel them all, right? And obviously I want to be intimate, involved with my managers, right? I don't like hierarchy and all these layers. Really, all the GMs report directly to me, right? And we collaborate. And I sit here and get to bounce things off my dad, who's also my best friend, about how do we want to grow the store, what do we want to do, how do we want to sit here and look at the vision, not just today, but 20 years from now. What do we want the legacy to look like? And it's just been a blessing.
When you look back and you think about when you just started out selling cars at 15 years old and those early days, did you ever imagine that you'd be at some 40 plus stores?
I mean, when you look at your dreams and aspirations, you can never quantitate exactly where you go, right? You just want to pour your heart and passion into each and every day, right? When every aspect, when I look up that sign, what drove me is I looked at that wasn't my last name. My mom and dad forged a path for us. I got to earn my right. So every day I try to work diligently and be honest with you, at my age, being young, try to outwork everyone from that perspective and really do it through the philosophy of obviously work ethic, grit, passion, heart, integrity, right? Those family core values that we talk about. But if you go back to those days, I remember when I became sales manager at 21, right? It was unique. It was that store. I remember talking to the general manager, right? Interviewing him for 2 hours on why you want to select me, right? Because I didn't want to get the position because of my last name. I wanted to make sure we looked at the vision, what he saw for growth. And I after going through that process and getting selected for the role, right? I sat down with the zone manager a week in. Right, and back then zone managers would be the ones coming and helping you with allocation, or inventory, or incentives, things that were going on with General Motors. I remember I was super passionate, all excited, right? 21 years old, saying, "Hey, how do I become #1 in the nation?" Right, and I could still see the guy in front of me sitting there. Right, he started laughing at me hysterically. He said, "Ryan, you got to aim your sights lower. You'll never be #1 in the nation at Highland, Michigan." I guess he just didn't know our drive or tenacity. Now, mind you, back then we were probably number 18th out of like 25 stores. So we were a small store, great run store, but we were small. So of course, 21 coming into him and saying, "I would be #1 in the nation," right? He looked at it and again started laughing at me. But that fueled the fire. And we spent 10 years grinding side by side with so many great people. I love to say, look at what I did, or my dad, or my mom. We have so many family members that have poured into it with our family of employees that do it each and every day. But in that time period, we finally, the day we moved in this store in 2008, right, became #1 dealer in the entire country for Pontiac. Right, so the year of 2009, right, we actually were 1,218 Pontiac sold that year. I'll never forget. No one can ever take it away from us. The #1 Pontiac dealer in the world, right here in Highland, Michigan. And it was a pride moment of going to my dad and saying, "We did it, Pops."
We did it. That's awesome. That's awesome. Now, 2008 was a pivotal year for you personally, right? Talk to us about that.
So 2008, it was a lot of trials and tribulations, right? We get tested for different reasons. Sometimes we just don't know. I went from never missing a day of work, right, in my entire life for being sick, to all of a sudden I'm at dinner with my mom and dad while this store that we're in was under construction, and I was coughing a ton. Right? I remember just feeling my neck right here, and there was a perfectly round ball like there. I'm like, that's weird, right? Don't think much of it. I do go to the doctors, right, and get checked out. He didn't think it was much, thought it might be the construction dust, gave me some allergy stuff, gave me an inhaler, and told me the lump was nothing. Thank God, he pushed me there a month later, and I went further, and they checked further and found out that I had cancer. So it was unique. I didn't tell anyone but my family for the first 2 months of my cancer treatments because this was going on. This building was getting produced. There's so much excitement, right? And I'm not one that tells people my problems. Usually everyone comes to me with their problems. I'm supposed to solve them. But I remember we moved in this store June 2nd of 2008. We had a huge flag raising. CNN was here. Tons of people were here. I think we had 500, 600, 700 there just for that opening day, let alone the couple 100,000,
wow.
or I mean 2,000 people that came to the grand opening. But after we did CNN, after we went out there and told everyone about what we're doing, and the first green store, Gold LEED certified for General Motors, right? I came in and actually told all our employees that I have cancer.
Wow.
One of the most humbling things I've ever had to do, but I found strength in vulnerability. So as I told them, and of course we were emotional, shedding tears, right? Afterwards I had a family friend, actually back then we had a hair salon in here, had him go in there and shave my head, and we never looked back.
Wow.
God was looking out for me, protected me. You go obviously through that journey all the way through October, right before Halloween, and looking back now, over 18 years ago, fully cancer free. So very blessed in that category.
That's fantastic. That story is, I'm sure, very inspiring to a lot of people that just heard it. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
That is fantastic. You've had some big acquisitions here recently in the past couple of years. Talk to us about that.
So I wouldn't even say last couple of years. We've been on a major growth spurt, right, over the last 10 years.
That's true.
But you can definitely look at the last 5 and just say it's been expounded upon. I think going back a year ago, we had 9 acquisitions. Last year I said, hey, I'm going to be disciplined and not buying stores. And even in that discipline, we had a new Hyundai Genesis store open, we had a brand new Chrysler Stellantis store open, and 3 Mitsubishis open, let alone all these construction projects that came to an end. So we always have something going, right? We always have that growth, but it's been key. We really want to grow our different segments we don't have. So we brought on a lot more luxury, right? There's a segment that we want to build out with Aston Martin, Mercedes, things that we're doing with the Volt to really look at the high-end exotics, because we want to be that dealer that has something for everyone, because everyone goes through different seasons, and sometimes they're in a season that, you know what, I just need a cost-effective car, or I need a fuel-efficient car. Sometimes they've earned the right to go out and get the luxury car they've always dreamt of, or a performance vehicle.
Something for every stage of life.
Exactly. And we look at everyone in the entire state. I don't care what brand you buy. I just want you to buy it from us, and hopefully we can water the seeds and earn the right to get all your repeat, your referrals, right? Because we're watering seeds and building relationships. So by having these brands, they never have to leave. So if a customer that once was buying a Cadillac someday aspires for a different brand, we have it here to keep them loyal to our company. We did 55,000 vehicle sales just under last year in the state of Michigan, let alone the hundreds and hundreds of thousands repairs we did all throughout the state. But we do that because we have the diversification of brands. We've also brought on what we call LAP, or LaFontaine Automotive Performance Vehicles, right? When you look at that standpoint, same thing, the enthusiast brands, right? The performance side, and not just the sports cars. You can do it with obviously the trucks, ATVs, off-road, all those segments. So we really were disciplined. And then we've leaned into franchise that we love, that we want to grow with, that we feel to have a bright future for the next 20 years, right? It's unique because all this growth, I've passed on more dealerships than I've bought by far, because I'm really trying to be disciplined on ones that really help the entire family of employees, right, for growth opportunities, and are great for us long-term in this discipline process. We also stretched out the network to be bigger. Right? That's why we brought on Kalamazoo, Grand Rapids, right? St. Clair, right? That's why we really fortified different things in our nucleus and try to do clusters. So there's been a lot of growth, a lot of fun, but it always comes down to the people. And we're blessed with great people inside our company.
When you acquire a company that's up and running, it's not a new point, how do you merge that culture of that existing store into the LaFontaine family deal?
So it really is a step-by-step pouring into them each and every day, right? You have to assess the employees. You have to assess maybe why the store was struggling or failing, if that was the case. A lot of stores we've bought, that is what the example is. Some not, some are great stores. But usually the people are looking for leadership in some category, and some of the leaders are right there. So it's assessing that. But we've also had great success of promoting from within. If you look at every general manager, if not 99% of the general managers in our company, we're promoted from within. So what I try to do is build the on-deck circle now of future leaders. So they know our culture, they know our way, they know our history, they know where we came from, they know my mom and dad, their visions, they know my vision, they know where the future's looking, so they can pour that into the store. So we really try to bring a merger of our current family, and then we invite all the family in, because we retain every employee that was from the previous dealer. And we give them every opportunity to work side by side with them I'm intimate in the stores. I have deployment teams. My RDMs, my retail development managers go in and they're training. My directors are in there, right? And brand GMs are in there on a daily basis, making sure the store kicks off in a phenomenal way and grow from within. So we have had success doing that, even in markets that are further out, like when you look at 2 hours away, because we bring our culture with you. And we live it. So it's not, I've struggled when I've hired someone from the outside and say, oh, go emulate our culture. They don't know our culture. So we've had better success bringing it from within and merging it together.
Gotcha. I would imagine it comes as good news in a lot of cases when you acquire a store that they were bought by LaFontaine because of the reputation and how much you care about your people.
Well, by far. Of course. But there's always nerves. Right? No one likes change. Even if it's a good change, right? They're used to something that's been there for a constant or a long time, right? So it's really getting eyeball to eyeball with them. And I think we've had success with that. Is before we acquire the store, we go back and we meet all the employees. Usually I'll take every manager off site and do a one-on-one where we spend a couple hours with them, getting to know them, letting them get to know us, so they feel more comfortable. Then when we meet all the employees, we go back there and talk to them for a good hour. Then we do one-on-ones with them. We really try to break that down and make it as easy as possible. And then we give them ourselves, and we're available from that day point forward. So they're really part of our family the day we meet, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. After COVID, we saw, obviously business took off in retail automotive. Dealerships on average were making 3x what they were making prior to COVID hitting. And the cost of acquisition was pretty high. That's kind of subsided now, right? I mean, in terms of looking at a store, what numbers do you use? Do you use the...
So I've never been a numbers guy like that. There's a lot of people who do 3 times, or some brands, like a Mercedes is 9 times. Of course, I look at the guides. But I also am better with my gut. I go into a store and more assess it on what we can build it to be. Right? Because if you're buying an underperforming store, you can base the blue off the underperformance, right? Sure, they're probably not going to accept that, right? Certain franchises are worth a certain amount, and within ranges, then you look at a pro forma of what the growth will be. But yes, certain brands it's settled down, right? Other brands are still very high right now, right? It's still one of those markets that certain franchises, right, you're going to pay a big premium for, and there's a big demand. But that's softened, and COVID time was unique. I don't think we ever would have thought that would have been the most profitable time of our entire history for any company, right? That obviously had a car, right? Anyone's coming in, they're going to buy it, and there's a waiting list for it. So unique times, but then the last 3 years have been the opposite of that, right? It's reteaching everyone culture, reteaching everyone work ethic, that we aren't entitled to the sale, that we earn it each and every day, that we have to work for what we get. So very proud of really taking the company post-COVID, right? And really getting it turned 180 to run the right direction about the principles of what we define this entire company on, right? The work ethic, the grit, caring about customers. When you look at family deal, treating them like family, those aren't words to us. Like family strong, like there's emotions behind it, right? Our employees wrote our mission statement, right? There's things we do that really mean so much to us because it defines our DNA, our culture, who we are, and then the community knows that, and then we just pour into them.
That's right. Wow, that's great. During COVID, we saw so many people that really went online to either do most of the shopping online or actually take full delivery, the way we see Carvana delivering cars and maybe some other retailers. Where do you stand with that today? Are you delivering cars? Are consumers, is that even a thing today where consumers want to do the entire transaction online? And if so, can you deliver on that?
Yeah, of course. There always will be consumers. I would say you have to meet the consumers where they want to be met. Many consumers we never meet, and it's pick up and deliver door to door.
Oh, really?
Right? Multi-states, right? From all perspectives. We can do everything digital, right? From all aspects. Technology has really helped that equation. We can even do finance presentations, right? Go through obviously all the benefits, all the features, right? Talk about that. Look at warranties, look at everything. So everything can be done offsite. But there's a lot of consumers that want to come in, still kick the tires, drive the vehicle. There's emotion behind a car. So you're getting everyone. It's no different than where the market is with EV or hybrid or just your traditional, obviously, ICE vehicles, right? The consumers don't want to be told what they have to do. They want options. So as a dealer, we provide those options. But we pick up and deliver throughout the entire state. I don't care if it's the state's over, we'll deliver right to them. Right? We do it all the time. We do it not just for sales, we do it for service. We may have mobile body shop, we have mobile service vans. I mean, so we really have customized it. Because I would say COVID created everyone to feel like they want that, and it's simple.
Sure.
Or whether it be the Amazons, or whether it be other delivery service, right? Or even the food deliveries obviously going on right now. People just want things when it's convenient for them.
Yeah.
And us as retailers have to accommodate.
That's right.
Right? For sales, service, buy shop, parts, whatever it may be.
That's
so
right.
I'd say yes, and it will continually grow, but it will never replace people coming in the delership.
Yeah.
I think that's been the thing. Everyone's like, okay, someday dealerships won't be there.
Right.
No, people still want, it's the biggest investment.
Sure.
Besides their house, it's their second biggest investment they'll
right.
ever do. And they want to touch and feel and ride in it, see how it drives,
Yeah.
put their kids in it,
Yeah.
look at comfort. Are you tall? Are you short? What are you looking for
Right.
in the vehicle?
Yeah.
And that's where obviously they'll come in and do the emotional side as well.
Absolutely. With regard to online, and we know consumers, they say 99%, it's probably more like 100 that will hit the internet or their phone, what have you, or from their phone to check out the dealership that they're going to go to. The FTC recently has come down and said, hey guys, you got to all play fair in this environment. Consumers are done. They got to know that what that price on that, whether it be a third-party lead provider or on the dealer's website, that's what the price of the car is. You can't bump them for doc fee when they get there, or special types of incentives that maybe they don't apply for or qualify for. What's your take on that with the FTC?
So, there's always going to be the need for rules and regulations, right?
Sure.
Everyone can look at it and say, is it a good thing or bad? I like transparency.
Yeah.
So the key is making sure we all understand what exactly the FTC wants to do, and make sure state by state we can apply. Because some states, every state's a little bit different in regards to their fees and how they do structures. So as long as it's clearly communicated, we can provide. Like if you look at this state, in particular, right? GM, most people get GM discount, Ford discount, or Chrysler discount. So we got to make sure we can still accommodate to those guests, but also accommodate people that don't. But now that we understand the guidelines and direction, really it's just getting a different formatting done from our websites to our different providers, to the lead sources, but it all can be done. But we believe in transparency. That's why we do videos anyway. So we do videos, or make our technicians do a complete walk around in your car, right? And we send you the video for the same reason the FTC is talking about on the variable side, right? Is people want transparency. Variably, we send you a video with the quote, walking you through everything, right? So you don't misread the numbers.
Oh, that's great.
So there's no gray area. So I'd rather live in transparency all the way through. We just got to make sure we know exactly what they want, so we can execute, and then we have the timeline to be able to change the technology to obviously accommodate, because some of these software companies weren't prepared for the changes.
I know.
But good thing is, everyone we've talked to are rapidly fixing it as we speak, and it'll just make it better for all. But I would say we've always, like our family deal price, always was transparent. Everything already disclosed already. So it's real easy for us to adapt.
That's right. That's great. That's great. And the dealers that I talk to around the country say, I'm all in on this so long as my competitors are as well, because everybody hits the internet and says, okay, well, your Ford F-150 is X, and this guy's Ford X or F-150 is X. He's lower. I'm going to go there to give him the opportunity, even though they know that or realize that there might be some playing around with the numbers there. So it's got to be something for the whole industry, right?
I think that's always a worry, right? When you have this many dealers, right, everyone's going to be on the same playing field. But I believe the way I'm reading it, the FTC and obviously all the states are going to mandate that. So as long as we all are on same playing fields, then 100% it makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. There's obviously some things going on out there right now when you look at the war in Iran right now, and gas prices. Your gas prices are pretty high right here in Michigan, that's for sure, $5 a gallon or what have you. Has that put much of a crimp in your business at all?
I can't say crimp in the business. It changes the buying habits. So some people now are very gas conscious. So they're coming in looking at EVs, or they're looking at vehicles that have obviously great gas mileage. Right? So it might change their thought process. They're still buying the vehicle, but they're just changing what they were buying before. Right? When gas prices are down, maybe obviously they're not so concerned about that. But sales were actually up. We're pacing. I know the industry's down, right? When you look at our first quarter, we're up in the market, right?
That's great.
Used and new and fixed ops.
Wow.
We actually each month continually have records in the fixed ops department. But it's like anything else. It's what you put into it. Right? Life of the COVID days where maybe I don't have to work as hard at it. Right? That's long gone. So the dealers that have employees and family members that are willing to put their heart and soul in what they do. Right? The consumer has a demand. We just got to adjust to meet that demand, whether it be gas whether it be EV, whether it be
Right.
range, whatever they're looking for, and it's going to constantly change.
Right.
So I think our industry especially is used to adapting.
Yeah.
So I think our gas scenario right now is just one way we're adapting, just to
Sure.
pivot for the spring and summer market.
Sure, sure. Perfect segue to my next question, which is a very hot topic right now in the industry, as you know, and that's the idea that Chinese vehicles would come into the U.S. Where do you stand on that? What's your take on that?
So I'm one that 100% wants to make sure we're protecting our economy and protecting obviously how we've always gone about our ways with the growth of automotive. And I think the government does a great job of mandating that and keeping it all equal and all fair. Right, when you go into scenarios of different markets, let's take Europe and China obviously bringing all their vehicles into Europe,
Yeah.
right? It's changed their entire economy.
Oh, yeah.
It changed their entire market, right? So looking at that sample study, you can't just say, hey, this makes sense.
Right.
It's got to be equal playing field.
Right.
And as long as, just like you were saying about incentives, each manufacturer is held to the same standard, then we can look at all competition.
Yeah.
But there is reasons and benefits of why everything's being pushed in the U.S.
Yeah.
to promote our economy,
Right.
our growth, and our future as a nation, right? Which I'd stand behind all day, every day.
Sure.
So whether it be Chinese or however they want to do it, I trust the government to look at that and say what's best, and I trust our legislatures, whether it be MADA or DADA,
Yeah.
who we consult with all the time, to look at what's best for dealers.
Sure.
But having someone come in and disrupt that without the infrastructure, like what's happening in Europe, would
Yeah.
make no sense at all.
Yeah.
So I think putting regulations in that would dictate that or control that only makes sense.
Sure, sure. In the early '80s, when your dad was a Toyota dealer, as you know, they put they kind of went to the Japanese, Nissan and Subaru and Toyota and Honda, and said, look, this is going to put a hurting on our domestic products here and that we build right here and our car market. So we're going to limit this. We're going to limit the number of Japanese vehicles that can come in and kind of walk before we run here, unless of course you want to build factories here. And then we saw, obviously, every one of those manufacturers built factories here. Would you be okay with a very limited supply of Chinese vehicles coming in to the U.S. as long as there were some guardrails that said they're going to have tariffs on them and it's only going to be an X number of vehicles that come in?
Sure. So first, that's not my decision to make, right?
Yeah.
From all perspectives. So I trust our leadership in government to make the right decision. Based on the facts I'm seeing, it seems like it makes more sense not to have that open up until they understand what that limitation should be.
Yeah.
So I think once they understand it better and what that growth could be or the impact on the economy, then they could potentially open up for some. But I think they really need to do a full study to understand what about obviously the manufacturer. What is it going to do to obviously hurt the brands that are so invested in here that have poured billions of dollars into infrastructure already? Right? We got to protect the ones that have also been so great to our economy for so many years and jobs inside the United States.
For sure.
Right? We got to make sure we're protecting them at the same time. Because if we bring in someone else and it hurts all that, that's going to hurt jobs as well. So I trust the government from that perspective. My opinion would be not at this time until they have the rules and regulations and game plan iron tight that they can mandate and control.
Yeah. If they iron that out, would you be open to buying a Chinese franchise?
So we have a Chinese franchise in Volvo, right? Volvo's been in the market for a long time.
True story,
They also have Polestar.
Yeah.
But again, Volvo has history going back years upon years upon years investing in our country, right? Before they became a Chinese brand. So there are some that I don't know might have to be grandfathered in because they've already been here. But again, there's only so much when it comes to a czar, right? From a input infrastructure could happen. So I think we have to do a study on that before, and then we can make that decision. But depending on what the government states and what regulations they put in, we're always looking at brands. I assess every brand, whether it be from out of the country or inside the country, and look at what they stand for, what their culture is, and what our consumers are looking for. Right? Because it always changes. Right? Think about it. Tesla wasn't here years ago. Look at what they're doing today. So again, our industry has gone through a lot of iterations, a lot of changes. I don't fear any change. I lean in. I look for the opportunity where those are, right? So instead of fighting it, when I understand what the rules are, I look at how can we sit here and grow inside that and benefit our guests, right?
Yeah.
Our key to success are our family of guests that we have that we pour into each and every day. So depending on what they need, their needs, they'll dictate what the future looks like in the U.S. or any market.
Right. Couple of things that we just touched on, which is obviously the FTC, which is a hot issue. So is the Chinese manufacturers wanting to come into the U.S. But affordability is at the forefront of every OEM's mind, consumer's mind, and obviously dealer's mind, with the average price of a new car now being in excess of $50,000, payments almost $800 a copy. As the leader and the CEO of a company that's selling thousands of vehicles every month to consumers, does that keep you up at night, the affordability issue?
Well, 100%, you're right. You look at where the economy is, it's fragile. Look at obviously debt, right? It's obviously higher than it's ever been, especially credit card debt. Look at FICO scores going down. So of course, I look at that all the time, right? And it's something every OEM has to look at. They all kept on getting their price and quality. Don't get me wrong, quality has gone up when price went up as well, right? But it's not got to a point where you might be past that affordable side for the average consumer, right? That's why we have diversity of brands. It ranges, right? Sometimes, obviously, it'll be General Motors we're sitting in that has the best program or best option. Sometimes it's not. If it's someone that's looking for, obviously, even like something like an entry level, like a Mitsubishi, all the way through. That's why we have every brand for those reasons, right? That we sit here and can make sure wherever that is from affordability or whatever the circumstances are, we got it covered. But I would say every dealer council that I'm on, which I'm on multiple, we talk about that all the time. And they listen. So I know General Motors, Ford, Chrysler, Toyota, you look at Subaru, any brand you want to bring up, they're talking about the same thing we're talking about right now and addressing it. And I'm not saying that they address it with every one of their models, but they do have to make sure they're not forgetting where the market is and what the market can afford.
That's right. Yeah, we saw so many sedans go by in the last few years. Everybody said, oh, we're going to go in, not just on EVs, but on SUVs and pickup trucks. But now with the affordability issue, it looks like some car companies are going, well, maybe we need to bring back some sedans, right?
Well, I don't know if all sedans should have went away in the first place. There's a market for each, right? And when we start dictating the consumer, the only markets they can go into, that's the mistake. Like when we went into EV and said, hey, everyone's going EV. I don't know about you or me, but I don't like being told what I do.
No, exactly.
Nor does a consumer. Give them options, right? Same thing with obviously price range. Give them options. Here's your entry level affordable price, all the way up to the premium. That's what we've done for years, and that model works. I'm not saying you have to oversaturate those markets, but there's a demand for sedan, there's a demand for EV. It's just not the demand they're acting like it was going to be. Oh, it'll never be 100%. It's going to be a certain percent of people that want what they want to choose. And I think every manufacturer has to look at their sweet spots. But I definitely think sedans will be back in some category, right? Even minivans. Right? I remember my first vehicle I sold was a Pontiac Montana. Beautiful vehicle.
I remember that vehicle.
Long windshield.
That's right.
Minivans are coming back in certain segments. But there's demands, and we just got to listen to the consumers. Every time we might not know which way to go, if we listen to consumers, we'll always go in the right direction.
That's right. When you hear Jim Farley talk about the fact that he's driving a Chinese vehicle to find out, what the special sauce is, and he's impressed with the vehicle. I mean, he's like, these things are great vehicles, and we can learn a lot from that. What is your take when you hear that?
Well, all OEMs do reverse engineering for all brands. Whether it be Chinese, whether it be amongst themselves. That's how we've gotten quality up for every brand, right? From the 80s to where we're at today.
That's right.
I mean, honestly, you can look at almost every brand we have in the United States. There's great quality. So yes, I think it's smart to understand and reverse engineer and study a market, especially obviously if it might be coming or not coming. So we have to look at that space and then understand, can we get there? Right? What do we have to do to as well build a car at that price point, right? With that quality from that regards. But also look at the European market. I don't know if they're saying the same thing about quality. That might be being said right now, obviously based on that one scenario. I know they've ran into parts problems, right? What do they do after repairs? After a couple of years? Like everything looks great now. The question is longevity. People keep their cars for a long time. How's that going to be with 200,000 miles, 100,000 miles, 300,000 miles, right? What's repair experience, right? All of those will factor. I think we're too early to tell. I just think there's some telling signs in Europe. But again, I'm not an expert in other markets or the Chinese. I only can tell you my opinion. And I tell you, competition builds a better product. So understanding what they're doing well, can help us get a better product, then I'm all for it.
Okay, sounds good. Talk to us a little bit about fixed ops. Fixed ops has obviously become a real focal point for dealers as we see margin compression on the new car side. And it's kind of one of those situations. I came up in the industry in variable ops, not fixed ops. So that was always my focal point,
Sure.
was to say, how do we sell more cars? How do we make more money? But whenever we saw the sales go down in either new or used, we said, what can we make in fixed ops? And but I think we learned a lot in these last 6 years since COVID. Talk to us a little bit about your vision for fixed ops among all your stores.
So I can't tell you what every other dealer's doing and whether they are leaning into fixed ops, like you say, because I say some are and some aren't. Some are still living the way you did, or I did, come up with variable.
Right.
I will tell you, if you're in our company, let's say the last 5 years, and you could survey any employee I have in the entire company, any family member from that regards, you ask them which departments I talk about the most. Service, used cars. Those two will be our foundational points, right? So it'll weather any storm. So if new cars are struggling, or that lease is $900 that you're saying, or whether it's $200, I can't control that. But what I can control is making sure I have a strong used car department, right? That feeds my service parts and body shop business. I can make sure I take care of my guests in that service department each and every day. That also feeds my parts and body shop, right? It's about watering seeds. We brought on 400 hoists in the last 2 years. Most haven't. We don't have a problem getting technicians. We're full of technicians. I'm adding because we have so much growth in fixed ops, right, from all perspectives, where other dealers typically aren't. They're struggling for technicians, right? It's because we live in each and every day. So every meeting I have, I don't just have variable, I have the same thing in fixed ops. We treat our service lane just like the front end of the operation. It's the same aspect. Think about it. It's phone calls. It's overcoming objections. It's transparency. It's listening to customers and building a relationship. It's product knowledge walk around. Right? It's solving a problem.
You're right.
It's transparency in video. People just don't want to think about it that way because I'm not mechanically inclined. I'll tell you that.
Neither am I.
But you don't have to be to run service.
Sure.
The technicians and the service manager can do that.
That's right.
I can help them with the relationships and service, and when it comes to customers, and make sure they have the experience they should. So my advice for dealers is lean into that service lane. Don't be intimidated to it by it. Look at it the same way variably and devote equal time. Because again, everyone wants to go, hey, let's go up front, man. It's fun to sell a new car or used car. Everyone's got to look at a customer comes in service. Right? We're sitting in a store, our largest store in our entire company. Right? You look at their RO count, right? Let's look at in any month, right? From all perspectives. Let's take an easy number, right? In a day, we have 100 repairers come in, right? 50 of them never bought their car from us.
Wow.
Right? You think our oldest store, our longest store, most longevity, we don't turn over people, growth, record, number one in the nation. Yet half of them don't obviously buy their cars here.
Wow.
So think about that. Why aren't we watering the seeds with them and building relationships?
That's right.
It's obvious
those are your future customers.
But they're coming here for a reason, right? Either they live here or they work here.
That's right.
Right? But for some reason they didn't know us to buy their car. So if we invest in that service lane, you'll also get the return on investment in future sales. People just don't want to take the time.
That's right.
People don't want to listen to phone calls. You want to grow service? Listen to your phone calls. So I'm telling you that the things that are being said, they're missing the opportunities right there.
That's right.
And the customers are getting irritated with that. So I think you can communicate, you have to have transparency, you got to lean into the guest experience.
That's right.
That's how you grow service. And then technicians, as long as you're growing that service lane, right, you have hours for the techs to turn, you can lean into that as well. But we've had, again, record growth, even more so than variably, than fixed ops. I am so proud of my fixed ops directors, my managers, and if you go to our general managers, even our general sales managers, they know service. Because I don't want them only know variable. So I make them run the service.
That's great.
Not mechanical. How to impact that service lane. How to impact, obviously, getting more customers to come in. Looking at warranty, looking at customer pay.
That's great.
Looking at one-line repairers. Looking for opportunities on the calls, or coaching, teaching, mentoring. And it's paid huge dividends to change that culture inside of our entire company. Because it can't say I was always that way. Back in the day when I was a sales manager, I only cared about new cars. But we had to adapt and grow. And now if you look at anything, we talk about service, used cars, even more than new. So new cars can be the frosting. But we got to have the cake built or the foundation strong to weather whatever storm. If nothing else, COVID taught us that, or the Chinese coming in, or EVs coming in, or whatever the adversity is. We don't know what the next adversity is. I guarantee you there'll be one. But the strong ones that invest in service and used cars
Yeah.
are going to be healthy and here for a long haul.
I love it. Service and used cars. I couldn't agree more. Just a couple more questions. Your second generation dealer, and I will get you out of here for sure. Second generation dealer, third generation. Are they coming up? Are they being groomed to take over your spot?
So I have 5 kids at home. Very blessed, right?
Okay.
3
Yeah.
boys, 2 girls.
Wow.
All of them in high school. Two sets of twins and another beautiful
2
daughter.
sets of twins.
So yeah.
Oh my gosh.
God knew that
Wow.
when I needed
Your
to
wife's
slow
gotta
my
be very
pace down a
busy.
little bit, so he overwhelmed me there. But I'm blessed with a phenomenal wife at home.
That's great.
And we sit here and pour into them.
Yeah.
I'll never force that they go in the business.
Okay.
That's going to be their decision.
Sure.
Right? Do they have a passion for it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
But whether they do or don't, I want them to decide.
That's
so
great.
as they navigate going to college here shortly, we'll see where that revolves or becomes or what they want to do, where their passions are.
Yeah.
I'd say now, third generation looks strong, right? Even from my sister's side
Good.
and her kids running the classic side.
Cool.
All those aspects. There's a lot going on there.
Yeah.
But God willing, right? I'm 48 years old. Looking back, I tell everyone I'm 27. Right? When you look at this, God willing, we're looking 40 years from now. We're still here pouring into obviously people because that's the richness, man.
Yeah.
When you look at this journey, right? What you get to take with you is the people you inspire to be a better version of themselves.
Right.
The people you made better along the journey.
Yeah.
The people you poured into.
That's right.
That's what you take with you. It's not the money. It's not this. I could have sold the company, or we could have back in COVID and never had to work again. It's not about the money.
Yeah.
It's about the people.
Right.
Whether it be our family of employees, our family of guests. That's the fun, and I love pouring into them. So I pray that third generation feels that way. Because again, I've been blessed to have my mom and dad, two of my best friends that taught me how to be humble. And if you're blessed in life, bless others, right? That we got to work for it, that all of us put our pants in the same way. We're all equals. No one's better than each other, right? And that type of lesson. And my dad's humility, like you'll never find him at a country club. You're going to find him at the local watering hole just talking to everyone. But he taught us that you really just got to sit here and make sure you're humble along this journey. And I tell you, that's what we're founded on.
I'm going to leave it right there because that is a perfect ending to this segment. Ryan LaFontaine, thank you so much for all the time that you gave us here at the Executive Profile on CBT News. Very much appreciated.
No, my pleasure. Thank you for the time.
Watching the Executive Profile exclusively on CBT News.
The Executive Profile is sponsored by the Dave Canton Group.